Hey, it's Robin, and I just wanted to share a little more about eating out with food intolerances. It's definitely an issue, and if you have any food intolerances, like I think a lot of people just tend to avoid them if they go out, or like not worry about them and just eat whatever and then just deal with the consequences. I don't believe in that. The consequences are too serious. So the biggest thing that I have done is created this little card. It's like a piece of paper. I made it on Microsoft Word. I'm not that tech savvy. And so I just copied it, made like 8 of them, and then printed them out. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably backwards. Yeah, but it's just a list of my food intolerances. And so it's just a piece of paper. I can easily give it to the waiter and say, hey, you know, this is what I say when I go to a restaurant. I'm like, hey, so I have some food intolerances. Can I give you a list of what they are? And maybe you can recommend what might work for me. And so then I give her the list, or him, whatever. And they often will say, it depends on the waiter or the waitress. If they're really good and really know their menu well, they might be able to recommend some stuff right there. But most commonly, I find they go and give it to the chef, talk to the chef. The chef might even come out and talk to you, or they might talk to the chef and then come back with options, whatever. To me, it doesn't matter. I don't care if the chef comes and talks to me. I just want something decent. What I do find though is if I don't say that I have something in mind, like the first night we went out, when we went to Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, I really felt like fish because we're in Orlando. Fish is probably really good. What I find if I don't say something is often what they recommend is sort of their first thing on their mind is like a plain chicken breast and a salad, but a salad without the things that I can eat, like the dairy, so no feta cheese or whatever, no tomatoes, no peppers. I find that pretty much that leaves you with lettuce. And sometimes I don't even have an oil and vinegar dressing that works, right? So then it's just lettuce. So chicken and lettuce is not my favorite meal when I go out to eat. You know, you want something that's decent, right? Not something that's totally boring. I will eat chicken and lettuce if there's no other options, but I find if I say, like, I'm interested in fish, what do you have that you could make for me? And so they came up at Bubba Gump, they came up with this this fish. They changed the seasoning, and then I had it with sauteed spinach, and I just asked for extra spinach because I find that it's hard to get enough vegetables. I don't know when you're on holidays. And then they served it on a huge bed of rice. But it was really good. It was really delicious, and I really enjoyed it. The next night we went out, we went to the Hard Rock Cafe. And I've actually never been to a Hard Rock Cafe before, ever, I don't think. So, you know, it was cool, really cool atmosphere. And the guy, the manager came over, and he was really good. He was like, hey, what do you feel like? And I kind of felt like steak that night. And so he was really good. He talked about the 2 different kinds of steaks that he had, and seasoning. And then he's like, we could do some steamed broccoli. I was like, broccoli, I never get broccoli when I eat out, and I love broccoli. I know I'm weird. So I was really excited about that. And then the waitress was like, we could throw on a little side salad as well if you want. And so I said sure. And they had a really nice dairy-free vinaigrette that was not just plain oil and vinegar, so it was good. I really enjoyed it. And then the third night, so my family is pretty diehard when it comes to brides. You know, you gotta get your money's worth. This is a holiday that my kids have been wanting, and my husband really, have been wanting to go on for about 3 years. And so it was a big deal. So nobody wanted to miss anything. So we ended up staying really late in the park the third night. Everybody was so tired that the kids were like, we just wanna go back to our hotel and eat. And plus we'd been at the water park that day, and there had been thunderstorms and it had been raining on our way home. And so we were wet. And some of us, three of us were cold, 2 of us were not, but we just really wanted to go back to the hotel, get into dry clothes and the warmest layers we could put on, and then just eat in the hotel. So there was a little restaurant bar there, and you know, it was interesting to talk to the guy the waiter, because he has some issues too, because he has diabetes, so he has to avoid things with sugar. So he was very understanding, and he actually said their chicken wings were gluten-free, which I never get chicken wings when I go out, so that was pretty cool. And it ended up being a really big serving. I couldn't even finish it, but it was really good. And the kids had some, and it was all good. And then the last day, we closed the park down. So it's like 9:30 at night. We still haven't had dinner. The Chocolate Emporium was a place that I had heard a lot about, and a lot of really good things from, you know, on gluten-free blogs. And I always do my research and kind of look into what might be a good place to eat and then hope it works in with the family schedule. So it was like a 45-minute wait, and we're like, well, it's our last night. All we're doing tomorrow is getting up and eating breakfast and going to the airport. So let's like suck it up and stay and go to the Chocolate Emporium. So by the time we ate, it was really late. Everybody was really exhausted from 4 days of go, go, go and not enough sleep. But again, though, the chef came out, and I was actually a little bit concerned when I looked at the menu initially because they had gluten-free items noted on the menu, and the only gluten-free items were 2 appetizers, and they both had spices that I knew for sure wouldn't work for me. But it just goes to show you, that's why you need to ask and you need to talk to somebody, because then the chef came over and he was like, what do you feel like? And I was like, I kind of feel like salmon because I love salmon. And the salmon dish that they had on the menu that was not gluten-free looked really good. So he was like, sure, we can do the salmon without the glaze. And so then I'm thinking, great, I'm gonna get this dry piece of salmon with no seasoning, no flavoring, but whatever. It was so late at that point, I didn't even care. And so I asked for that, for the salmon, and I didn't know what was coming with it. I just knew it wasn't coming with glaze. And when it came, it was the most delicious thing I've ever had. It had a little bit of rice, a lot of sauteed vegetables, and it did have a sauce. Obviously not the glaze that he was talking about, but it had a delicious sauce. And it was honestly the best meal I've had since figuring out my food intolerances and going gluten. It might be the best meal I've ever had, to be honest. It was really, really good. And yeah, it was totally amazing. Now, one thing that you should be aware of when you're going to a restaurant and you have food intolerances and you're gonna ask for, you know, a bit of a special meal, is that it does take a little bit longer for the meal to come out. So just be aware of that when you're ordering or when you're planning your outing or whatever. It's not long. It's like maybe 5-10 minutes, but for me, saving the discomfort that I'm gonna experience if I eat any of these things, seriously worth it. So that was our experience. I would highly, highly recommend the Chocolate Emporium. Although interestingly enough, my kids and two of my kids and my husband ordered the chocolate milkshakes because they looked amazing and we'd heard a lot about them. And I don't know if it was because it was so late at night and we were hungry for real food. But nobody was like thrilled with the milkshake. So I would like to go back and have them try them again, like, you know, mid-afternoon is kind of like a snack when they're not, you know, eating supper, because I think they're pretty big milkshakes. And so by the time you eat a milkshake or your supper, like, you're going to be full, right? There's not really room for both. So I don't know, they looked really, really cool. The presentation was amazing. I didn't try any, of course, because Derry and I are not friends. I would have been up for hours with a stomach ache, you know, probably all night. And that's just not worth it, even though they did look amazing. So if you have any food intolerances or any comments or any questions about dealing with it, or you think you might have, just reach out to me. I'd love to help you. And I hope you guys have a great day.